And I join everybody in thanking the U.S.-China Policy Foundation for making this possible. You certainly have assembled a great group of colleagues to be with. These are precisely the four people, the four fellow panelists who I always look to for good judgment, good thinking, expertise on Taiwan subjects. So we get together a lot, but really all, and with Mike Lampton, all in one row here is quite good, terrific. I was asked to talk today about U.S. Taiwan relations, sort of where we are in our relationship. If our relationship with Taiwan was a normal relationship, I would say that it's healthy, well-functioning, with a mid-sized country. We deal with the usual mix of security issues, trade investment, law enforcement, other issues. Very similar, in my experience, very similar to the kind of relationship that I worked on with Taiwan, with Vietnam or with the Philippines. Many similarities. And to a large extent, that's the way we look at it, those who work on Taiwan relations in a day-to-day way. We're deeply immersed in such issues, gripping issues like the pharmaceutical industry's view, the U.S. pharmaceutical industry's views about Taiwan's new proposed pricing regulations for drugs coming off patent protection, or how to increase the flow of Taiwan students to the United States universities. Now, I would be willing to bet that no one here in this room wants to hear about those subjects. And I promise you, I'm not going to even take a poll. So, but that's what the relationship, in most ways is really about, those kinds of things, in a very healthy and productive way. But I think we all know that it's not a normal relationship. First, I'm not allowed to call Taiwan a country. Second, at least once this morning, I have to say for the record that it's an unofficial relationship. I've now done that. Working within all these constraints and oddities and the odd names we give everything involving our relations with Taiwan, over the last 4 years, the Obama administration has made a very deliberate effort to deal with Taiwan as an important partner in its own right, not simply as an issue in our relations with Beijing. And to borrow a word from one of the previous speakers, we've also made an effort to treat Taiwan with dignity. For example, as our administration seeks to broaden U.S. opportunities in the global economy, our trade and investment with Taiwan, which is a key player in the global supply chain, is an important part of that policy. Taiwan is our 11th largest trading partner, 6th largest market for our agricultural exports, 6th largest source of foreign students in the U.S., unfortunately down from 5th not too long ago, and something nobody seems to know, it's the 4th largest holder of U.S. treasuries. The Commerce Department has identified Taiwan this year as one of 15 key economies for an ongoing campaign to increase foreign investment in the U.S. President Ma also has said a number of times recently that in the year ahead he wants to really focus on deepening U.S.-Taiwan economic ties. And we agree with that. President Ma, for example, has actively encouraged a delegation of high-powered Taiwan CEOs led by Morris Zhang of Taiwan Semiconductors and by Terry Guo of Foxconn, and with former Vice President Vincent Hsiao leading the whole delegation, who are going to come to New York, Washington, and San Francisco this November. And when I was with President Ma just now in New York and Los Angeles, he repeatedly told everybody about that delegation and how important he thought it would be. And a major goal of the delegation is to look at opportunities to invest in the U.S. For those companies and for joint ventures and other collaborations. In public remarks during his transits in New York and LA, President Ma also expressed interest in negotiating a bilateral investment agreement with the United States. Now, in fact, the TIFA Council meeting, the Trade Investment Framework Agreement Council meeting that we had in March, did in fact set up a working group to explore the possibility of a bilateral investment agreement, although it may take a while. In the last 4 to 5 years, we really have seen a significant increase in policy-level U.S.-Taiwan bilateral meetings, which, to borrow a phrase that Kirk Campbell used in briefing our Congress, has included regular consultations by civilian and military representatives. We've also resumed visits to Taiwan by high-ranking U.S. officials, including Deputy Secretary of Energy, Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade, U.S. and the Assistant Secretary of State for Economic and Business Affairs, all people who have serious interests in this important relationship with Taiwan. So far in 2013, at least by the count of Taiwan's foreign ministry, 4 U.S. senators and 16 congressmen have visited Taiwan. I'm sure it's at least that many, including the chairman of the Senate and Foreign Relations Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, I think we all remember, it wasn't very long ago, maybe just 2 or 3 years ago, there was a lot of talk about how the U.S. Congress seemed to have lost interest in Taiwan. And in fact, it did seem to be. There was sort of a drop in attention and visits. But, and somebody can write a PhD thesis on why it's come back, but, because I don't have the immediate answer. But it's come back. There is definitely a revival in attention and interest on the part of the Congress. Another very important point I would make is we routinely brief our Taiwan friends on our meetings with the PRC. I mean, just recently, I participated in one of the meetings where we briefed them on the Sunnylands meeting of Xi Jinping and President Obama. We also briefed them on this Security and Economic Dialogue meetings. We briefed them promptly and in full. We also briefed them on our overall Asia strategy. In return, Taiwan has been very good in keeping us informed on their many and complex channels of communication with Beijing. We value the progress that President Ma and his administration have made in stabilizing cross-strait relations. We see that stability as in our interest as well as in Taiwan's. The restoration of direct cross-strait communication obviously helps to minimize possibilities for miscalculation and misunderstanding. We were worried when that lack of communication was not in place for a period of time. At the same time, we respect and we support President Ma's conviction that he must conduct cross-strait negotiations from a position of confidence, the confidence that comes from having a capability to deter coercion. Our sale of military equipment to Taiwan is the aspect of our support which gets the most public attention. But as I've said before in this kind of occasion, it is only one aspect, alongside training, information sharing, and much, much more. Finally, I would note, as I have liked to, that on these occasions, that we are building a $220 million new office building for the American Institute in Taiwan in Taipei. The first time in at least 30 years that any country has built a dedicated building for its representative office in Taiwan. And the new AIT building, I think, is an important symbol of our commitment to a long-standing relationship with Taiwan. At the core of that relationship is a shared belief in democracy, rule of law, and human rights. And I actually think these shared values are a very important reason why our Congress has this sort of special affection and interest that they've maintained for so many decades in Taiwan. I would also say, as a practical matter, Taiwan's the importance of rule of law in Taiwan is really is a big factor in what makes it, for our private sector, an attractive place with which to do business. It frankly gives Taiwan an advantage over some other places we can think of. Americans have a deep respect for all the progress that Taiwan has made, political and economic, against really amazing challenges in the last 44 years since 1979. And for our part, we will continue to stand by the commitments we made to Taiwan 44 years ago.